Hello, everyone, and welcome to this live reading session with me, Hannah. My name is Hannah. I am a Western Practical Astrologer, and we're here today to do some live readings. Yes, it's been quite a while since I last did a session of live readings. And do excuse me because, okay, the chat's open. That's good. Okay. I hope everything is working okay with the chat and so on. The application I use to stream on here changed a few things. So I really hope that the differences aren't massive. But if you are there, if anyone is listening, watching, let me know. Maybe even just comment in the chat. Let me know that you're there. Let me even see. I do have the comments presented. I'll even just go onto my main channel and have a look. I see that there are a few of you watching. Oh, brilliant. Okay. Hello, Michael. Thank you. Hi. Hello. Hello, Leah. And I use a Blue Yeti microphone. Okay, thank you for being here, everyone. Hello, Jen. Now, just to let you know, right, if you would like to jump on today and have a live reading with me, of course, it's a mini reading. The instructions are down below. There is the PayPal link. You just send the payment through and make sure to give me all the details. You know the drill, like time of birth, date of birth, place of birth. And then we will do some readings today. I will present your chart and we will go from there. Let me know if you have any questions as well. So we have a couple of people booked in. We have, excuse me, I ate recently, so sorry. We have Olivia. So Olivia is going to be first. And then we have another who has booked, who would like the privacy there. So yes, and readings about 10 minutes or so, but really it just depends on what comes up, what your question is, so on and so forth. Okay, hello everybody, thank you for being here. Now let me just grab Olivia's chart. Yeah, things have changed here. Here it is. Yes. So if you obviously cannot jump on to the live stream, and I hope my connection is pretty solid throughout, let's just say that. I know Mercury's retrograde and everything, but hey, you know what? Happy new moon in Sagittarius, everybody. But yes, if maybe you need to go or step away, this video will be available. It'll be available for after. Right. So, Olivia, you want to know here about relationships, being single, things like that. And yeah, so a lot to do with partnerships and relationships, thinking about this bachelorette lifestyle. Like, is that sort of aligned with you? And here's what I want to mention about this first and foremost, right? You've got this Gemini rising. And so Gemini on the rising is certainly adaptable and versatile. There's this curiosity, what seems like this never-ending curiosity with Gemini. And you see Vesta is retrograde in Gemini as well, actually conjunct the ascendant. So I want to think for a moment just about Vesta. And, Vesta is this asteroid that is about devotion. And there is this element to Vesta that wants to keep the eternal flame burning. There's a whole mythology behind it, naturally. So what we're seeing actually for you, Olivia, is that there is more of this, I suppose you could say, pull towards self, more of this devotion towards self, towards the things that you want to do. And so with that, there comes this open-mindedness and there comes this inquisitiveness. Maybe for you, a lot of this is about devoting yourself to learning just about you and what makes you tick, why you do the things you do, that sort of thing, right? And I further want to mention that there's an interesting conversation between this Gemini rising in Vesta and Venus and Juno in your 7th house. Now, the 7th house is the house of partnerships and relationships, and Venus is also the planet of attraction and beauty and love. Then Juno is the asteroid of commitment. So, what we're seeing here is that when things are not so reciprocal, right? That's the other thing about Juno and Venus. It's like the feeling needs to be mutual, right? So when things are not reciprocal, whenever things are not really well balanced, even the 7th house is about balance, there is this reaction within you, I think. And I think a lot of it does boil down to freedom, needing space, needing your freedom, needing to feel like you can breathe, or like you have this place, this space to roam free, right? With Sagittarius. Now, with that being said, it could very well be that you attract certain partners who give off this energy towards you, right? It's like maybe partners who don't want to commit, or partners who are all talk but actually don't follow through with things, all of that kind of stuff. So I think that perhaps what this is indicating is maybe there is some part of you that prefers that freedom, so to speak. Maybe this is saying or indicating that single life, if you will, right? To be single, to explore, to roam free. When we look to Sagittarius, even Jupiter is in the 7th as well, and Jupiter is that ruler of your 7th. So indeed, even Jupiter is about expansion and growth. Yes, what I'm getting from this is learning, and more learning, and maybe just even think about relationships in that way, right? Maybe for you, Olivia, relationships are kind of part of your story. They're part of your journey, right? So yes, it's very interesting indeed to think about this bachelorette lifestyle that you talk about. And I'll even say this. I would even say this. Lilith, right? Black Moon Lilith is in Gemini. And what is Black Moon Lilith? Black Moon Lilith is about independence and rebellion, liberation. So I'm kind of thinking to myself, especially with Black Moon Lilith opposing Pluto, and I'm going to be very sensitive as I say this. I'm thinking to myself, and I really hope that I'm coming across as empathetic as I say it, but I'm thinking, is it that perhaps there has been some kind of trigger or trauma or abandonment or a struggle, something maybe a bit more sinister, I'm going to say. Maybe in some respects, people that you've gotten into relationships with, they've shown you time and time again, you can't be trusted. I can't trust you. I have to put myself first. So it's almost like you've had to do that, right? You've maybe even, I would suggest, put this kind of armor around you, right? To shield you, to protect you, right? This in a way is about self-preservation. With Pluto, it's very interesting indeed. So what I'm going to say about this, just to answer your question, to try and focus in on that a little bit, would be, yes, we can see some energy that points toward more single life and this bachelor lifestyle of not really committing to one person, or getting into a serious relationship. But I'm also perhaps suggesting here that there could be something to be said about exploring trust. Okay. Trust, past situations, past experiences you've had, what has went on there. I'm really thinking to myself. So those kinds of things may be interesting to explore. And before we close this reading off, just answering your question, here's the thing. There is this new moon happening in Sagittarius today, and it's actually happening on your Jupiter. And at the same time, there is the Mercury influence more closely to this Juno Venus energy. And there's also Jupiter, which is quite close or nearing to your ascendant. It's still in Gemini in the first. So what is this all about? I would say, get to know yourself. maybe take that time. Do you know what? Let's try and not even think in terms of being black and white, right? Where it's like, do I just need to be a bachelorette for the rest of my life and that's it? Well, you can meet you. Hey, I'm just going to say this. You can meet someone tomorrow, or you can meet someone in a month, and it's like, wow, I really want to be with this person. I love this person. I'm interested in this person, or whatever. Maybe a way to reframe this would be to try and not be so, black and white. There's an openness with Jupiter, right? To be somewhat open and to question. Take the Mercury retrograde maybe as an opportunity over the next couple of weeks, right? Mercury retrograde is moving through your 7th, just to revisit relationship matters, to think over, okay, what do I want? Where am I headed? Thank you so much, Olivia. Okay, we're going to close off. Okay. And I see that a good few of you are booking. Thank you so, so much. And let me just go through your information. Do bear with me. Because I need to take notes of things to keep myself right. Thank you so much for booking. Just checking over to see if you've given me all the information I need, because if then any information is missing, then I'll need to let you know. Okay. We've got Dante. And then let me see. Is it so Anna, thank you. You forgot to add your info. Okay, let me go up. Did you share your info already? I'll wait for you to share your information then. You can always email it to me if you don't want people to know it. If you don't want people to see that information, you can email me the information. Just make sure you're being clear about your name and the payment and everything. So yeah, my email is hannahselsewhere@outlook.com. And in terms of, yes, it would be one question there. And next then, let's see, Claudia, thank you. And I'm just taking note of yours, Anna, and then I'll wait a moment. Claudia. Let's see. Yes. Okay, I've got your information successfully. Okay, so we're going to move on to our second individual. And let me just scroll down. I'm trying to see if anybody else has asked a question there. Claudia, thank you so much. The instructions are in the description box. How long is a mini reading versus a regular reading? Well, let's just say my regular readings, so there's an ask a question reading, and it's, hold on, I need to double check how much it is. Let me just be clear here. Yeah, give you the right information. Yeah, I thought that. Yes, so it's £45 for the ask a question reading, and then so the next one after that is a 45-minute reading. Okay, so this one is just, it's more a mini reading. Okay, and if you're watching, Anna, if you're there, yeah, please be sure to send me your information. So in the meantime, I am going to now get prepared for the next reading. Okay. Thank you for your patience. And if I'm quiet, that is why. I'm trying to focus, especially during a Mercury retrograde. I'm like, oh, please, Hannah, don't mess this up. Please. Don't mess this up. Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Okay. And I'm going to refer to the next person as M. M. Definitely. Yeah. Okay. Save. Yes. And rename. Okay, and save. Okay. Okay, so yes, thank you very much. Is it Livla? Thank you for explaining. And let's see. Oh, yes, sorry, it is. It's you, Olivia. Sorry. Oh, just the O, it threw me off with with like the O. I'm so sorry. No, I'm so glad. Thank you. Thank you so much for booking. Okay. Right. So, image. Okay, so the next reading we have here for M, and you want to know about these 7th house placements. Okay, I hope that the information, if you are there, I put, because the dates, the month and the day are different, put in differently in different places of the world. So I hope it's the right way around. Okay. So you want to know about these 7th house placements? Well, and also just to confirm, this is using whole sign. Maybe are you referring to Placidus? If there's some other interest, let me just check, because you said placements, and I'm wondering. Okay. So this. Okay, I'll use Placidus then. I'm assuming. So just give me a moment. Let me just change things. Okay. I'm really assuming that that's what you're looking for, because you did say placements, and then when I use whole sign, it was just the asteroid there, Palace. Okay, let's see. Let's see. Come there. Here. Yes, replace that. Got that. And then edit. Okay, cool. Okay, someone else has booked as well. Thank you so much. Thank you. I'm just putting down your name. Okay, lovely. All right. Image. And again, just a reminder, if you do miss, if you have to step away, or you're like, Hannah, you're taking too long, seriously, it's going to be here. All right, just go to your section. Okay, here we are. Right. So you want to know about this this 7th house arena. Well, all right. Well, here's the first thing. We have to think about interceptions. So whilst this 7th house stuff is intercepted in Libra, so is the 1st house stuff. So what I want you to kind of think about here is how Pisces is on the rising, and the moon is there also in the 12th in Pisces, and it's conjunct the rising. So there's something quite unconscious happening here, right? There could be something here about unconscious emotions and feelings, triggers, things that are hidden out of clear view. And maybe in some respects, a lot of this stuff is actually tied to your upbringing and your memories, your past, your family, that emotional baggage, if you will, right? Because the sun is there in the 4th house. A lot of the 4th house is actually comprised of Cancer. So it's safe to say you're a very sensitive individual, right? Very, very sensitive when it comes to reading people, environments, things like that. I think you can absorb other people's sort of energies, and you can be maybe easily influenced, let's just say, emotionally. So there's a lot to be said, I think, for you about what is it to um, let go of energies that do not align with your emotional needs, right? Being able to establish hopefully sort of healthy boundaries. And so Saturn has been really quite powerful for you, I think, over the past, well, since March 2023, because Saturn's been moving through this 12th house area for you and has, I think, brought up a lot to do with healthy emotional boundaries. Like it's saying, do you know what? That stuff's yours. That's not for me. Okay. You need to sort that out, not me. So whenever we look to Aries in this first house area and it's intercepted, there is this conversation about your sense of self and your independence and how you show up as just as an individual. But the South Node is also there in Aries. So I think when we consider you automatically, without you having to try, there is so much to be said about your ability to be a go-getter, to be a starter, a self-motivator. But Aries is intercepted. So there's something here, I think, to be said about your way of doing things being told, no, you're not allowed to be like that. You know that doesn't work well here. That's not accepted. So what you've perhaps had to do on a more psychological level, on a more personal level, is how to establish a sense of self, how to stand up for yourself. Chiron has actually been in your first house for a long time. Okay, good for years. So Chiron, I think, has been acting as this wounded healer, this trigger, this teacher. My goodness, this wise sage, where you hopefully are now at a place where you're like, no, I am not accepting that. I'm not putting up with that kind of behavior. So then we throw into the mix the nodal opposition. So the North Node has been traveling through your first house since like July 2023, and it's coming to the very end before it enters Pisces in 2025. So we're actually coming up to this point of, aha, I see. And we're coming up to a point of hopefully being able to integrate the lessons of the North Node in Aries in terms of, right, okay, I can see where maybe I betrayed myself, where I didn't stand up for myself, when I stayed quiet, when actually I should have done something. So, this, I think, for you has been huge in terms of your independence and your leadership and your bravery and your courage. Now, okay, here's the other thing. We've got the North Node in Libra, we've got Pluto there, we've got Ceres there. And again, I want to be sensitive because this stuff is heavy. Like when we work with Pluto, it's heavy. When we work with Ceres, it's also quite heavy because Ceres can be about grief and separation. And with this, yes, we could possibly see in your past, or maybe even recently or the past couple of years, because hey, with the nodes being in your first and seventh houses, we could see potentials for separation, divorce, or we could see uh, power struggles, more perhaps sinister acts, let's just say, when it comes to relationships and partnerships. So I think what the seventh house stuff is perhaps trying to urge you to do is being able to come at things from a place of balance. And now, this isn't to say that you just accept things, that you appease, that you agree for the sake of it. This balance, I think, is more so about you realigning with your personal power. It's almost like the kinds of relationships that you get into, they have something to say about, oh, hopefully my computer, okay, is my computer okay? Oh, okay. Let me just continue. They have something to say about your determination, your ability to actually stand in your power and in your strength. And I'm also going to say this, especially because Ceres is a part of this. My goodness, be kind to yourself, be gentle with yourself. I think that there is something to invite. There's something to invite about being gentle and tender, to nurture yourself. What I'm even picking up on here is that those kinds of ways of relating and being in relationships were denied. This is what I'm getting. There's this denial, this rejection, this punishment. So this is where we see, hopefully, with the South Node being in your 7th since July 2023, and the North Node being in Aries, and we're coming to the end of this, remember, hopefully this is where we're going to see you being able to come from a place of healthy relationships, where it is about you being able to direct yourself, being able to stand up for yourself, and to not put up with anything that diminishes you, or, well, let's be honest, this challenge, this imbalance of power. So hopefully you've been able to come from things now in a way where things are a bit more balanced, and you feel more like, do you know what? Yeah, I'm really glad that I let go of that. And it's going to be interesting furthermore whenever Saturn moves into your first house. I think what's up ahead for you is this reset, so to speak, when it comes to your identity. Okay, I hope that was okay. I hope that was enough for you. And yes, so thank you so much. Okay, so let's see. All right, we have another. Thank you so much, Hannah. Excuse me. And then Anna. Let me see here. Anna, I'm just grabbing your information now. Okay. So Pluto, and then your career. Oh, okay. You prefer Placidus, no problem. So Placidus, Pluto, and more career stuff. Got it. Thank you, Anna. Now. Oh, perfect. You also, okay. Yeah, got it. Thank you. Next, right, I'm going to grab Dante's information. Let me just clear this. Okay. Just give me a moment whilst I get the other chart ready. I might even just put my glasses on because, yeah. Let's see. Hold on. Okay, let me just double check. I've got your information. Yes. Okay, perfect. And then we'll go back to whole sign. Okay, trip overseas. Okay, Philippines. All right, interesting. Okay, interesting. I just need extra time then for this one, just to prepare. Give me one moment. Thank you. Yep. No. Uh-huh. 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 Okay. Great. And then just need to pull up some more information for you, Dante. Okay. Oh, okay, I need to edit. Are you working on it? Okay, perfect. So, Philippines. To the Philippines. Ooh, all right. Yeah, I see what you mean with the Jupiter line. And it's a Jupiter descendant line as well. So, very much about relationships. Okay. Right. So, let me just take a moment. Give me a moment to look over your chart, and then I'll see what connections I can find. I might also look up a couple of other timing techniques. Let's see. Let's check this one. It's August, yeah. Ooh. Okay. Okay, well, just exploring, for example, your solar return chart, which you don't see it in front of you, Dante, but I felt called to. Oh, okay, Hannah, you said Placidus. No problem, got it. Sorry, Dante. Okay, yes. So whenever I look to your solar return chart, we see that actually Jupiter's in the first house, and it's also conjunct Mars, and it's near the ascendant. So this could be an indicator of long distance travel, especially with Mars. So Mars is this push, it's an active planet. So there could indeed be this greater activity, right? This desire to want to travel, to explore new territories. But the other thing about this is, right, if I grab, let me see. Sorry, just give me a moment. I'm just getting your chart again. The other thing about it is that, well, you do have Jupiter conjunct your ascendant in your birth chart. So this to me also is an indicator that you may work abroad, right? You may desire strongly actually to work in different destinations, different countries. And Mars is also in Gemini in the 10th house. Therefore, we could see this leadership, this drive when it comes to your professional life and wanting to make things happen, to make bold moves. So when we combine that, if you will, with Gemini on the rising for your solar return chart, right? So we think about Gemini kind of coming into that first house arena. We see the traveling career stuff, right? The career moves. But we also see with Juno, oh, that's very interesting. Juno is also there, and Juno is about marriage and commitment. And I'm pretty sure you did ask about, marriage and things like that. Oh, hey, you could very well find that whenever you do relocate, whenever you move to a different country, different destination, you meet someone new and you could potentially marry them. That to me is very fascinating. Plus, whenever we overlap that Virgo house, right? You've got Virgo in the first with Jupiter. Whenever we overlap that with Virgo in the fourth house in the solar return chart, we also see that movement. We see the movement of your home, so to speak, right? So relocating and potentially being blessed with some work, some form of income, something to keep you busy, really. And we also notice that the North Node is in Sagittarius in your fourth. So it's almost like, to me, Dante, it almost seems like it's your destiny. It's a part of your destiny to relocate, to move. Oh, and here's the other thing. Saturn is making this trine to Mars and to your midheaven in the 10th. Therefore, I also see this as you being quite a dedicated, busy bee, worker bee, so to speak, and being able to have this focus and maybe even finding like minds, finding your tribe. Interesting. It's very interesting to see here. And whenever we combine this Aquarius and we overlap it with the 9th, well, when we look to the solar return chart again, Aquarius is in the 9th and Pluto is there in the 9th. Yes, it's retrograde, but there's still something here about transformation, renewal. It's like you completely transforming when it comes to community. Even the midheaven is there in Aquarius. So yeah, we think here reinventing yourself when it comes to your career path, when it comes to your long-term goals. And the other thing, okay, here's the other thing just to mention. Mercury is retrograde in Virgo, and it's with Venus and the moon in the fourth. So what I will say about this one in particular for this solar return chart, and just the year ahead, right? So from your birthday in August till the following year, just take your time and make sure that all the facts, all the details are prepared. Just make sure you've got all of your documents, everything's clear there. Maybe you can even ask for some advice from your parents because the moon's there. Maybe there's also something about your comforts. I'm also wondering to myself, may you get a bit homesick? Is it that there will be certain pleasures that you miss? So yes, there could be some nostalgia, the sentimental energy. It could also be fussing about things and worrying about things and stressing out a little bit. But hey, we still see you going for it. That's the whole beauty, I guess, about mutable energy is that, yeah, okay, we may not necessarily be in something for the long haul, but we're still going to do the thing. We're still going to try it out and see what happens. Just give me one quick moment, Dante, to see if there's anything else I can find here to answer this question of yours. Excuse me. So the other thing I would say is, like I was saying earlier with Jupiter, the Jupiter descendant line runs through the Philippines, and actually in this particular solar return chart, we've got Sagittarius in the 7th, so that is Jupiter ruled. So indeed, we could see this as marriage, right? We could see this meeting someone new, just being open to exploring new horizons. I just think in general with that location, I mean, Jupiter is a very expansive planet. Jupiter can be about opportunities, many opportunities. So a lot of growth, a lot of growth, and more specifically, relationship growth. Okay. So Dante, thank you so much. Thank you, Dante. Okay, now, and Anna, yes, I have your information. Okay, and we have another 2 booked. We have Maurice, thank you. Let me see. And we have Silvana, thank you. Okay, let's see. I have room for 1 more, and then from there, that's going to be me fully booked, and then I'll edit the title so nobody else can book for this evening. Okay, let me just get your information, Anna. Oh, Anna, it was your birthday recently, yeah? Happy birthday. I hope you had a lovely birthday. Let's see. Oh, there it is. Just double checking. Okay. And you want Placidus. Placidus. Let me see. 1, 2. Interesting. Okay. Yep. And Claudia, yes, you are after Anna. Okay, so if I grab... Yeah. Is this us? Yeah. Pretty sure. Let me just double check your information. Yes. Pluto in the chart and Pluto in Aquarius transit. What will that bring overall? Okay. Okay, so just give me a moment. Yes, late degree, Sagittarius rising. Yeah. Okay, that makes sense. Makes sense with the late degrees there. Alrighty. Let me grab, actually, I want to look at perfection, or not perfection, sorry, progressions. Okay. Pluto, Aquarius. All right. So let's get into this. Let's do this, Anna. What is jumping out at me is, first and foremost, the fact that there is this Capricorn. So Capricorn is on the second house cusp, and it's at, let me see, 29 degrees Capricorn. So a lot of the first house is comprised of Capricorn, and even Venus is there. And then at the same time, this 29th degree, this anaretic degree, kick-starting the second house. So what does this all mean? First and foremost, what this indicates to me is that some of the biggest lessons you're here to learn, so to speak, or that you will learn throughout your life, will be about your identity, how you present yourself, how you show up within new situations. We could see for you some harsh lessons to do with your self-worth, to do with your finances, and how you go about sort of gaining your strength there and maturing. There's a lot to do with maturity on your part here. And yes, with you already, you've experienced your first Saturn return, and you're actually experiencing this Saturn opposition. So we're coming to this other crossroad sort of influence, this situation of, okay, it's time to learn significant lessons, learning lessons about how efficient you can be, or about your work ethic, or about being able to actually, how do we say, to be able to sit back and surrender and receive. Now, that is something I find interesting when we connect this back in with the second house, because I know you want to know about Pluto. So what I actually think is it is being said here, because keep in mind, Saturn is the ruler of Capricorn. Saturn rules your second house. What I think you are up against right now is being able to see where perhaps you are taking on too much, or where you're overcommitting, or there's a lot of pressure. I'm getting here a lot of pressure that you carry yourself. And maybe some of this is self-inflicted, maybe some of it is the pressures of, others, and this burdensome energy. This is what I'm picking up on. So here's the interesting thing. The North Node is going to come into Pisces, and the South Node is going to come into Virgo. And that's going to begin from January 11th, 2025, for 18 months. And on top of that, eclipses are going to happen in these signs. So what does this mean for you? I think that what we're going to see for you is you entering a new period of surrender, being able to release, being able to flow, so to speak, being able to see that actually, do you know what, see all of the other stuff, that maybe there's a lot coming from my belief systems, my worldviews, or I have to behave this way and I need to be correct and matter of fact and everything else. That perfectionism with Virgo, I think that you're gonna have this opportunity to really sit with that, to question that, to see how things really feel. And then when we also throw into the mix the fact that Pluto itself is coming into the second house arena, and wow, this is going to really indicate certain breakthroughs and breaking aways to do with your self-worth, your finances, who and what you're responsible for. There is so much about rebellion, to revolt. There's so much here about you more coming from your own independence and your own convictions. And to also throw into this the fact that the secondary progressed ascendant is already in Aquarius. So you've been doing the work, so to speak, over the past number of years. I think you've been showing some rebellious tendencies with respect to your earnings, your income, your physical security. But Pluto, I think, is going to act as a big transformative force. And I think at the same time, a lot of this stuff is unconscious. This is about exploring your psyche, exploring your unconscious habits and urges and motivations, and to break away from things that do not serve your soul, if you will. Think of it this way too, even Pluto itself opposing Juno. This is interesting. I think that there has been, perhaps more recently or over the past few years, a significant shift to do with your relationships, whether this could be a separation, it could be a divorce, it could be breaking away from a business partnership matter that's no longer aligned with you, just as examples. But with Juno, what I want you to remember about Juno, it's an asteroid of commitment and loyalty and marriage, but it's also an asteroid that says, I am not going to put up with that. And it's an asteroid that says, if I'm betrayed, if I'm hurt, this is how I'm going to react. So Juno in Cancer indicates to me that you're all about your emotional security. And so I'm thinking to myself, is it that something has been triggered with Pluto opposite very recently? And do you know what? Even Pluto has been going back and forth at this 29th degree. So this could be like how do we say, a longer period of time where you've maybe tried to separate from a particular relationship or a situation there that maybe was binding. There was something together. So very interesting to see you coming to this transitional period. And I think that, yeah, Pluto is going to invite this determination, this resilience, this grit that says, I'm not going to put up with that. Plus, let's think of it let's think about how the South Node is in, it's also in, let me just see here when I switch. So the North Node is in Virgo. My apologies, just going around there. No, let's think of it how Pluto. So Pluto is then in Libra in your 10th house. So already what we see here when it comes to your life path, when it comes to your long-term goals, you are a very resilient person. And I would also argue when we mix that in with all that Capricorn influence, you're a very self-sufficient person. I see this as you being very committed and disciplined, but it's just that you're coming up to this period, and it's been going on for quite a while, where you're having to review and analyze, okay, what is healthy here? Okay, just remember the nodes changing. There could be some interesting revelations that will come up. And yeah, and also just to add, the nodes have been in your, so very close to your midheaven, and they're close to the moon in Aries too. So there have been significant shifts and transitions to do with your private life versus your public life. And with the moon in Aries, my goodness, if you ever feel like you're being told no, or like you can't be yourself, especially when we mix in the sun in Sagittarius, oh my word, no. It's like, no, I'm not gonna put up with that kind of behavior. And indeed, being independent, you, I think, are a very independent individual, quite headstrong as well. Okay, so I hope Anna, I hope that was helpful. But there's so much, my goodness, there's so much I could pull from this information. But these are mini readings, and if you are interested in booking a more long reading with me, you can visit my website, hannahselsewhere.com. So Claudia, thank you so much, Anna. Claudia, okay, so let's see. Oh, I'm glad to hear that the information resonated, Hannah. I hope you find it to be helpful. So let's see. 26. So Claudia, your birthday was recently as well. Happy birthday to you. Four, seven. Okay, double checking. Yes, yes, yes. Oh, all right. So you want to know about December 2024. Right. Let's see. Let's grab this chart. Yep. Okay. Okay, so just give me a moment, please, Claudia, and I will look things over. Okay, so first thing, and I'm going to try and just take my time and break it down for December. So, December 2024 for you, Claudia. First thing would be we're coming to the end of the North Node being in Aries since July 2023, and at the same time, South Node in Libra. Therefore, perhaps it would be a good idea to just consider what the nodes have taught you, what has really came through for you over this 18-month period. So maybe try to think about, okay, well, how have you been brave? How have you been a bit of a leader? What kinds of goals have you went after? Perhaps in many respects, these goals have been tied to that of your creative projects, your hobbies, just your forms of leisure and your interests, passions, things like that. Because, well, Mars, which is your ruler, Mars is in Leo. But you see, the other interesting thing to mention about this is Mars is retrograde. Mars is retrograde throughout December. Mars will actually be retrograde from the 6th of December until the 6th of January. Therefore, this is also why it's a good way, it's a good time to review where you're at, to review your goals, to review your wants, your passions, your interests. Creatively so. I think with Mars being in the 5th in Leo, my goodness, you're such a creative individual. And whenever you put your heart into something, oh my goodness, you're forced to be reckoned with. But I think with Mars retrograde, it's just about going, well, right, creatively, where am I at? Where am I at? What lights me up? What is it that I genuinely enjoy doing? This is about authenticity as well. But a lot of it, yeah, it's about enjoyment and passion. So indeed, take your time. Plus, with Mars being your ruler, again, Mars is the ruler of your ascendant. A lot of this will be about your personal aims, your goals, your life path. And then you see, whenever we come into the new year, your ruler Mars will come into your fourth, and that will be a way for you to maybe take a closer look at your inner world, your private self, your emotional needs, your emotional attachments. Now, that stuff, I'm going to be honest, and I know I'm going into January. I know I'm kind of swaying off December or whatever, but I hope that you still find this to be helpful. Now, this part of it with the retrograde, well, it's going to be interesting because this Mars retrograde is going to start to trine a lot of that Scorpio stuff. Very Scorpio heavy here. This is what we see when it comes to you, Claudia. And what I mean by this is there's a lot going on beneath the surface. This is going to be such a good way for you to go within, to just observe, to analyze your triggers. Possibly this could be about, how do we say, like turning certain things back online, sort of resurrecting certain parts of the self. So anything that is buried, anything that is hidden, anything that is repressed, anything that you were told, that's wrong or you can't feel that way. I think this is you going, watch me. Watch me bring this stuff up. Let me feel this stuff. And take that time to investigate, to analyze, to sit with certain heavier emotions. And I know it's perhaps easier said than done. At times it's hard to address that stuff, but I can't help but think that Mars retrograde it's going to be a time of you really going there. Maybe a big part of this too is being able to draw from some sort of support and assistance, perhaps from family, for example. Okay, let's continue on. So we talked about with the nodes changing. Let's also, for December, I'm just trying to focus on December for you. Let's also think about Mercury. So Mercury is retrograde until the 15th of December in your 9th house. And it's going to eventually come to this degree where it meets up with Saturn and the moon. So let's try and break this down bit by bit. Moon in Virgo, 6th house. When it comes to your emotional needs, you tend to compartmentalize and analyze. That can be helpful. Yes, it can be. It has its place. But perhaps a part of Saturn opposite is that we see where maybe you've been blocked or limited, or which parts of your emotional landscape do you deny or do you resist, so to speak. When, for example, is it that you keep busy? You kind of keep busy because you want to avoid, you don't want to address the stuff that's going on underneath with Saturn in the 12th. So Mercury retrograde coming in and making this square could be this activation point, this point of why am I doing that? What is the reasoning for this? What is the meaning behind this with Mercury retrograde in Sagittarius? And sorry, just my laptop. Hopefully that's okay. So I think that a lot of it, I think a lot of it comes back to actually Jupiter, right? Jupiter is the ruler of Sagittarius. Where's Jupiter? Jupiter's in Scorpio. Jupiter's conjunct Mercury. There's all of this Scorpio. We come back to Scorpio. We come to this place of looking within. We come to this place of repressed emotions, possibly past traumas, fears, vulnerabilities. My goodness, Scorpio is a sign of vulnerability, but I think this can indicate that there's a lot of fear tied to vulnerability. Fears of being vulnerable. Trust then is a big part of it. Who do you feel like you can openly and honestly sort of communicate with, open up to? I'm wondering, is it that you've been on a bit of a psychoanalysis journey? I wonder, is it that you've looked to perhaps spiritual, esoteric subjects for more of an insight into why you do the things you do? I'm really curious about what you've explored within yourself, what has come up for you over the years. So perhaps this is just with Mercury retrograde throughout December, it's just another way for you to look at things. And maybe a part of it is to broaden your view. like to like look outside into the world and to travel, to expand your mind. Your sun is in Sagittarius, right? So your soul's purpose, if you will, with the sun, your direction with the sun is about exploration and being open to change and questioning, like, oh my gosh, what is this all about? Your higher meaning. And my word, you could go on some adventures with this influence. And the final kind of thing that I want to mention then about December would also be this interesting conversation with Chiron. So Chiron is also in Virgo, and we see with Jupiter. So Jupiter is making a bit of this square to Chiron, even Mercury retrograde as well. Let me just double check actually the degrees. Yeah, Mercury retrograde as well. So right now, honestly, it could be that things feel a bit tender. Chiron and Virgo in the 6th is, I think, somewhat of a challenging placement when we think about your health, when we think about overthinking, worrying excessively, picking yourself apart, beating yourself up, all of the perfectionistic stuff. So perhaps December could be an opportunity to again go within, right? Mercury retrograde, Jupiter retrograde, go within, ask yourself, where are these messages coming from, right? We think about even with Gemini in the 3rd, is it that there was something within the early schooling system? Is it that certain peers teased, or what were those messages basically? Maybe there's something here about your siblings, those kinds of messages that kind of seep in. But Chiron is also about healing. It's about acting as this great teacher. So in actuality, we could see you being able to turn your pain into wisdom, to turn anything that you think, oh, I should be critical about that, etc. You can turn that into wisdom, maybe as a way to help others, to assist others in some way, right? To be of service with Virgo. And just lastly, remember that the nodes will change coming into 2025, and the North Node will come into Pisces, the South into Virgo. And so for you, we're going to see a lot that you'll be letting go of with relation to perfectionism, with relation to how you manage and regulate your emotions. And I think a lot of it will be about health, health focused, health related. And with the North Node also being in Pisces, there will be that greater focus on spiritual exploration and rest. Hey, rest. Being kind to yourself, being gentle with yourself, Claudia. Okay, thank you so much. Oh, interesting. You were thinking of traveling this month. Well, there you go. There you go. Maybe that's something to consider. Okay. Excuse me. Thank you so much, Claudia. Now, we have Jessica has also booked. Thank you. Now, just give me a short moment because I need to edit the title so then nobody else can book, because we're fully booked. We're fully booked today. My word, thank you all so much for being here. Now, how do I do that? The system's all different. Let's see. I'll figure this out. I will figure it out. Edit. Yes. Fully booked. Okay. And I will just take out this and say closed. Oh. Yeah. And save. Did it work? Sarah. Thank you very much. Thank you, Sarah. Did it work? I just need to double check that it worked. So it did. Happy days. Right. So Jessica, thank you so much, Jessica. And now I'm going to move on to Scared Patriot. I'm just getting your information. Okay. Chart selection. Oh. Excuse me. Other. AMH. Go here. AMHA. Go 5th house. Okay, 5th house and 12th house. Got it. Double checking your information. Okay, that's definitely PM. Okay. Let's pull those. Go. Oh, okay. I'm assuming this is for Placidus then, because you say about a packed 5th house, but I don't see a packed 5th house with whole sign. Yes, Placidus. Radio. Gotcha. Sarah, that's brilliant. Thank you. Amazing. And I hope to come back on next week for more live readings. We will see. Right. So let's see. Okay, so Scared Patriot. Indeed, you want to know about this packed 5th house, and you also want to know about the 12th house. Well, let's break this down. Let me just double check where all the planets are. Yeah, right. A lot happening in Capricorn. Well, okay, there's quite a bit coming through here, and I'm going to try and break it down. First and foremost, you've got Leo on the rising, and you've also got the moon in Leo in the 12th, conjunct your ascendant. So Leo on the rising communicates to me that you are someone who you just automatically grab attention without even having to try. There's something about your radiance, your glow, your spark, right? There's just something about you. And we also see with the moon, actually, that you can be a pretty private individual, especially with the moon in the 12th. Very private. Maybe, if anything, you don't really like a lot of attention. You don't like people just looking at you, watching you, things like that. To you, I think you prefer to keep things a bit behind the scenes or low key with the moon. Until, of course, you become comfortable with other people, and then people really do see your wild side and just how enthusiastic you can be. Maybe you're the life of the party, honestly. Now, the other thing to mention is with the sun. So the sun is your chart ruler. The sun's in Capricorn and it's the same degree as Saturn. So this also communicates to me that you're a very reserved individual. And again, similar messaging here. Whenever you do warm up to people, you come out of this cautiousness, so to speak, but there's still that cautiousness, that guardedness, if you will, in general. And I think, even a part of it is just feeling safe, feeling comfortable, feeling like you can be yourself. Maybe as well, you have certain standards, you have certain expectations, and so you can be quite cautious in this way. Plus, we see how hardworking and how dedicated you are as a person, especially when it comes to your creative projects. Very fascinating to think that behind the scenes with the moon and Leo, you're so inspired. All of this creativity, it's very colorful, it's very vibrant. Maybe you love to make movies or plays or scripts. There's a lot to be said about drama there. And this playfulness too, right? This playfulness behind the scenes, maybe some fun role plays and acting, trying different characters, all of that. But you see, with the fifth house itself, we actually see some, how do we say, like a block. We see limitations. We see you potentially as a child being told that, oh, you can't do that. That's not going to get you anywhere in life. You're not going to get results doing that, all the creative stuff. But actually, from you working hard, from you being disciplined and committing yourself to an action plan, those building blocks with Capricorn and Saturn, you get so good at being creative in that you can bring form to your creativity. We also throw into this Neptune. Neptune is there with the sun. It's conjunct the sun and Saturn. And Neptune adds this inspiration. Neptune adds this artistic expression and your ability to flow, to also create space for flow and transition, and to also explore different characters and rules. This is beautiful. Very beautiful energy. Could be very poetic. Maybe you love to paint. Maybe you love to play music. You love to write as well, because Mercury is also there in the fifth house in Capricorn. Let's just put it this way. Whenever you really focus in on your creative pursuits, you can really build. But you see, the fifth house isn't just about creativity. The fifth house is also about romance, love, relationships. And with Saturn is about restriction. Saturn says you need to give it time. You need to be patient. And also, failure, setbacks are just as important as success. And actually, it is failure that leads you to your road. They basically help you toward achieving success. Failures are a part of your journey. So we could see some hardships and struggles and setbacks to do with love, romance. And hey, when it comes to your creativity, we could see maybe you not having children until a bit later on in life as another possibility. But we also see the maturity. We see with Saturn that we age like a fine wine. Things get better with time, and they also get better the more you put in. So hopefully, with you having experienced your first Saturn return a few years back, hopefully you're really starting to see the rewards of that as Saturn continues to sort of move throughout the chart. Now, we could also argue that with Saturn, let me see the degrees, sorry. It's what, degree does your 7th house start from? Just give me a moment while I look at the transits to see here so I can follow on with that thought. Oh, okay. Yes, interesting. So Saturn has been hanging out in that 7th house area for a good while. So we are also seeing some new lessons, some blockages, some hardships to do with things like clients and customers. So the kinds of clients and customers you attract that you work with could also be about business, thinking about business partnerships. I actually think with so much Capricorn in the 5th, you feel this calling. You feel this calling to turn your passion into a career or to be a bit of an entrepreneur. So Saturn in the 7th may be, okay, well, there's some lessons here about clientele. Maybe there is still something to explore about the very foundations of your creative projects. Though we also then want to think about Uranus. So Uranus being in the 5th house is very innovative. I think you can be extremely innovative when it comes to your creativity. And perhaps too, there is something unorthodox or non-traditional about the ways in which you show up romantically too. I think, yes, sure, so much Capricorn, especially Saturn there, could be that there's a certain system or there's a certain way that you follow things. There are rules, standards, etc. But that Uranus element also indicates to me that you can rebel and that you can question the status quo. Okay, so that was yours, Scared Patriot. I hope you find it to be helpful. Thank you so much. And then we're going to move on to Hannah. And yes, you want to use Placidus. Let me just grab your information. Yeah, so 5th house and 12th. Interesting. July. Yep, that's it. Yep. Just double checking your information. Okay. And yes, so Placidus, we're keeping it with Placidus. Yes. Let's change that. Go there. Go there. Okay. Awesome. Yeah. Let me just look through your question, Hannah. Okay. Okay. Right. Creativity and authenticity. So Maggie, the readings are booked for this evening, but I'm hoping to be back next week. Okay. So Hannah. So you want to know here about creativity and authenticity. It's an interesting question. So how to tap into those things? Well, the first thing that's jumping out at me is Leo is intercepted and Aquarius is intercepted. And Leo is the archetype that is very much about self-expression, creativity, being quite genuine in how one comes across. And there is a radiance of confidence, a self-assurance to Leo. Now for you, Venus is there in Leo. And the thing about this is that Venus is also intercepted. So what we see is that there could be what feels like this block, something you're not quite connecting with when it comes to your creativity. And maybe often what happens is that it's through other people that is reflected back at you. But I think what often happens is you have the tendency of looking out at the world and seeing that other people, it's like other people are so creative, other people can do that, other people are so great at that, I'm not so great at that. So maybe a part of this is to connect with Venus. Maybe to connect with Venus by looking more towards, okay, well, actually, I am good at what I do. I enjoy my way of doing things. Even think about it this way. With Aquarius, Aquarius is about uniqueness. Aquarius is about being able to explore alternatives, a different way. And even if, for instance, you're seen as unusual, strange, weird for your way of doing things, I think that Aquarius invites that ability to be the outsider, to be the rebel, to do something differently, to be a bit of an innovator. Now, with that being said, yes, Uranus is also intercepted then because Aquarius is intercepted in the first. So there's also something to be said about connecting with the parts of you that can be a rebel, or the parts of you that can go against the grain. You can think outside of the box and not necessarily fit yourself into some sort of category, or sort of categorize your life, or just make up these harsh rules about life. And speaking of rules, this is where we look to Capricorn. We look to Capricorn. This is so fascinating to me because Capricorn's on the rising, and the identity here for you, what was perhaps reinforced for you growing up, was that of you have to follow the rules. It has to be a set way. You have to show dedication. You have to be disciplined. And of course, when it comes to Capricorn, we can see this self-sufficiency, being self-reliant, quite mature, possibly, maybe even from a young age. We see responsibility. We see your ability to step up to the mark, just to come out with it and be like, yep, okay, I'm going to do that. And that's amazing. That I think these are certain qualities to appreciate about yourself. It's just that at the same time, what's important to do is hopefully to not, how do we say, set yourself up to such unreasonable expectations. We see this with Chiron. Chiron is in Capricorn, and Chiron in Capricorn indicates that there is some wound or a rejection, maybe some form of abandonment there. And those things I talk about could be related to possibly a father figure, an elderly person, a member of authority. We could see even certain teachers, especially when we consider how Mercury is making a bit of an opposition to Chiron. So we see here this influence of, no, shut up. You can't say that. What you have to say doesn't matter. Even Saturn itself which is your chart ruler, by the way. So Saturn has a lot to teach you, but Saturn is in Gemini. And sorry, hopefully we're okay. Sometimes it just goes to sleep. Anyway, Saturn is in Gemini and it's in your 5th house. So Saturn in Gemini, I think, is a very powerful placement for creative writing. For creative writing. So I see this as you actually, as you get older, as you grow, as you mature, the kinds of things that you create intellectually in a communicative way, the messages that you have to share, I'm sure you're going to create absolutely just pieces of art that will inspire others, that will make them think. And what you will learn is that those rejections and those ridicules that you once experienced in the past, they were not true about you. They were not true about you. What I'm getting basically overall, when I look at this and I intuitively feel into this energy, I see this as a lot of your self-expression and your creativity being cast out, being told, no, that's wrong. We can't go there. You're being too loud. It's not about you. Stop being a show off. But you're gonna grow, I think, in huge ways when it comes to your creativity. And the thing about this is, I'm not here to say one particular thing that you do as a way to tap into your creativity, so to speak, and to express yourself authentically. I think that this is something that is a process. It's a long process. It's going to involve more than just a quick sort of practical thing, like do this and then, I think that this is about unraveling what is beneath the surface as a way to get to you confidently expressing yourself. I think a lot of this is about confidence, actually. Yeah. And maybe a big part of it is tied to your family. So when we think about the past, we think about going deeper. Maybe there's a lot to be said about your emotions, especially your emotional needs and family related topics. Think about it this way. Sun is in Cancer, Jupiter there, Mars is there. One more quick thing to share about that. Of course, Cancer is the archetype tied to family and memory and our emotions. So one more thing I want to say about this is Jupiter is going to enter Cancer June 2025 for a year. You're about to come up to your Jupiter return. Sure, you're not going to feel it more until around 2026. But all of this is to say, your Jupiter return that will approach, this I feel will be a bit of an opening and expansion, a time of great wisdom, great emotional insight. And with Mars also being a part of this, because Mars is in Cancer, there will be this active presence too, this drive, this will. Even think of it like this too, and I know I'm going on, but Mars retrograde will enter Cancer from the 6th of January until the 23rd of February. Maybe use that time period to go within, to look to your moral compass, to draw from inner guidance, inner wisdom. This is about your own emotional landscape and a lot of perhaps healing there. Again, this is where we're going to get more to the emotional stuff. And with Mars retrograde from the 6th of December until the 6th of January, so that Mars retrograde in Leo, that's also going to be an opportunity for you to explore that of your creativity. So things that you enjoy, things that light you up, these kinds of things can be looked at and reevaluated. Okay, so I hope that was helpful. Thank you so much. Thank you. Now, moving on to Maurice. And go there. Go here. D. Okay. Let me just double check your information. Yep. Okay, and it's Placidus. Got it. So, question, let me see. Okay, I'll look here at transits then. We'll see what's happening. Okay. Yay, I'm really glad. Oh, thank you, Hannah. That's awesome. Okay, Maurice. So, questions about career, feeling dissatisfied, last several years, breakthroughs, things like that. Okay, so just give me a moment whilst I look things over. Pluto, Saturn. Jupiter, Mercury. Okay, so there's quite a lot here, and I'm going to try my very best to break this down for you, Maurice. Just keep in mind that, yeah, these are mini readings, and just, I suppose, to say this to everybody, for longer form readings, you can always book a reading with me. First thing I want to mention for you, Maurice, is Uranus. Uranus has been moving through your 10th house for a good few years now. And so what has been ushered in many ways would be, well, the unexpected. We see here unexpected shifts, but we also see here, which I thought was very fascinating when you used the word breakthrough, right? Anything I can do to break through. We do see breakthroughs. I think even the question within itself is a breakthrough, if you know what I mean. It's like you're questioning, you're wanting to know, you're wanting to challenge what exists. So this is what we see with Uranus. Uranus is the awakener. Uranus is the bringer of truth. And so Uranus right now is retrograde. Uranus is retrograde and will turn direct at the end of January of 2025. So maybe it would be a good opportunity for you to see and observe, okay, well, what has unexpectedly shifted and changed for me over the past number of months or even few years? And why is that so? Maybe there is something to be said about feeling more secure, feeling more stable and steady. And, these things aren't necessarily about materials and having things, owning things. Perhaps a big part of this is more so about your inner, it's your inner world, it's your inner security, aligning yourself with the things that make you feel good. And that's not just about material stuff, if you will. So I think Uranus retrograde is your opportunity to go over where you're coming from, what has happened, and then whenever Uranus does eventually turn direct around the end of January, maybe we could see some forward motion. We could see again unexpected shifts, greater focus on independence and freedom and liberation. But then get this, Uranus is going to cross into Gemini around July of 2025, and will be there just for a couple of months before it officially enters Gemini in 2026. But what you're going to get is a taster of what's to come. And the other thing is that Uranus is going to first approach Chiron in Taurus. What I'm getting from this is, I'm getting from this ripping the band-aid off. Ripping it off. So let's apply this to career, to your professional life. If it is that there's something that's stagnant, that's stale, that you've outgrown, that you're fed up, you're just like, why am I doing this? This is so upsetting to me. We could see some of this. Do you know what? It's now or never. Push, you go for it, and you take the leap. This is what I'm getting from this energy. Even with Uranus, going back to Uranus will come into Gemini July for those couple of months in 2025. So we're going to see you reinventing yourself when it comes to wider networks, when it comes to something that's bigger than yourself. This is what we get from the 11th house. What we get from the 11th house is, yes, it's about teams and clubs and groups and communities. It's a very diverse area of life. We realize that, yes, it's not just us that exists in the world. There's so many different people, and people with their different opinions and perspectives. So we could see some interesting innovations happening for you. We could see you entering into a completely different field, right? It's a whole new different organization, it's a different firm, it's a different institution. Even the North Node is there in Gemini, and Jupiter is there. And you've been feeling this. You've been feeling this call, right? Jupiter is like, okay, are you feeling that? Are you feeling the inspiration? Are you going to take the call? Are you going to take this leap of faith? And with the North Node, destiny awaits. Destiny awaits. But I think, to also further add to this, the fact that Gemini is intercepted and then Sagittarius is intercepted, well, we also see some fear, some resistance. Maybe what we see here is that, well, whenever we break it down, let's kind of break it down and think more about the 5th house, because the 5th house is where we come from first initially, if so to speak. So Sagittarius is intercepted in the 5th and Scorpio is ruling the 5th. And then you have all of that Scorpio energy in the 4th. So when we really strip it back and we think about your unconscious drives and motivations, what is driving this point of focus when it comes to your career path? Is it fear? Is it limiting beliefs? Is it parental expectations that still seem to get in the way of your decision making, if you will? Is it these past experiences that have some sort of hold, they have some sort of grip? And then whenever we come into the fact that Sagittarius is intercepted in the 5th, this is about tapping into sources of play, fun, innovation, inspiration, to be inspired. I mean, yeah, this is about your ability to be free, to roam. And with, oh my gosh, with the new moon happening in Sagittarius today, it's happening pretty much on Uranus, your Uranus in the fifth. Oh, this to me is saying you're ready for change. This is the time of change for you, Maurice. And so, how can you perhaps tune in and ask yourself the bigger questions? Use Mercury retrograde, right? Mercury retrograde is very close to your Jupiter. Use the time then over the next couple of weeks to honestly review your aspirations and how your aspirations are tied to fun, play, enjoyment, free time. And then when we go over to the 11th house and we think about even how you show up within communities and groups and teams and organizations, all the rest of it, well, there is an element here of fear, rejection, abandonment, being criticized, the ridicule stuff with Chiron, some kind of wound, some pain there, because Chiron is in the 11th. But then with the Gemini part of it, I'm thinking to myself, what kinds of messages do you believe about yourself and how you show up within groups and teams? How much of the perhaps past experiences to do with rejection or being shut out from the group or rejected from the group, how much of that keeps you from feeling safe and feeling supported? And maybe a big part of that relates to that of these career breakthroughs. I really just, what I want to focus on a little bit is how we can mix, yes, certain events coming up, but how that also can come from within, and what feelings arise, what comes up within yourself whenever you think, for example, about taking a leap of faith or trying a new career path, switching things up. What is it within you that feels like, oh my gosh, I don't know, it's so unfamiliar, it's so uncomfortable? And then when we also consider the sun in Capricorn, moon in Virgo, well, you do like to keep things more organized and to plan things, to know what to expect. But I can't help but feel as if this is a transition period for you, because there's a lot happening in Sagittarius and Gemini right now in the skies. So for you, it's about change. For you, I think this is about taking a leap of faith and seeing what else comes through. Very, very fascinating indeed. Even Pluto itself, right? Pluto itself has just entered Aquarius. We'll be there for the next 20 years and we'll move through your 7th house of business partnerships. Okay. And maybe at the same time, because Pluto does rule your 4th, so you've got a lot of Scorpio in the 4th, it's the dispositor of your Scorpio planets. Maybe because of that, there could be some interesting transitions to do with your living situation, your household there, your family life. And maybe a part of that comes about because of partnership transformation, collaboration transformation, just being open to the new, even though, yes, things could be quite scary and daunting. Okay, so let me just check. Yeah, okay, brilliant. Thank you very much, Maurice. I hope that was enough for you. I really do. I hope so. And I hope you found it to be helpful. And again, people, if you would like to book a reading with me, you can visit my website, hannahselsewhere.com. Okay, so moving on. Thank you very much, Maurice. Just getting your information. Let me double check any systems. Let me just read through this. So business to have a okay. Online business, cultural heritage, history, and writing. Okay. Got it. Silvana. Thank you. I'm just going to enter your information. So Okay, list of my, just double checking everything. Yep. Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Okay. Go back. Yeah. Oh, Maurice, you said this is eerie. Oh, interesting. Okay, well, thank you very much. Thank you for your feedback. I just hope that you find it to be helpful. Okay. So, Silvana, let's have a look at your information here. And just give me a moment just to look things over. So, yep. Money, business, yep. End of 2023. 2023. Let me just look here. Yes. Yep. Okay, I go back and then go back to 2024 and then just see here. Right. Right. So bear with me here, Silvana. I'm going to try and slow it down because I want to, when I see something, I'm going to explain it and then I'll probably take a minute to see what else I can find and go from there. So you want to know about this business and when to launch. You said that at the end of 2023, things didn't go according to plan, basically. Well, I want you to think here about how Mars right now is in your 10th house. It's transiting your 10th house, and Jupiter is in your 10th. So Jupiter is your money planet. That's how I'm going to describe it, because Sagittarius rules your second house. So with Jupiter being your money planet, what we do see is, yes, you earning money via your creations. So we think about creative projects. We think about things like publishing, right? Let me just double check what the business is about. Cultural heritage, history, writing. Oh, very interesting indeed. With writing, Mercury is very much about writing. Your moon as well is in Cancer. The midheaven itself is in Cancer. Very much about history. So what I'm going to say about this is you certainly know your stuff. You have a wealth, I think, a wealth of knowledge, a fountain of knowledge to draw from with all of that Sagittarius mixed in with the moon in Cancer. So back to Jupiter in Leo. When it comes to the things that you publish, I think you certainly know how to grab attention. Let's just say this. You're not short of ideas. You have a lot of ideas. Even Neptune is conjunct Mercury. So a lot of creativity here that just almost just pours out of you, very intuitive. So let me put it like this. You're very gifted. You're very, very gifted at what you do. Here's the thing. Whenever we explore Mars is traveling through Leo, and what's going to happen is it's going to reach Jupiter in your chart. It's very, very close to Jupiter in your chart, and then it's going to retrograde. And it's going to retrograde in your 10th house of career, of your accomplishments and your achievements, which your accomplishments and your achievements are tied to your publications, tied to how you earn money. So from the 6th of December until the 6th of January, Mars is going to travel back there through the 10th. So what's this going to be good for? This is going to be amazing for you to honestly review where you're at. Review your mission statement, review your creative projects so far. What has worked for you? What's worked really, really well for you? Review even here the confidence that you have in the business. Maybe there is something about your own self-assurance. Maybe there's even something about how you actually how you actually share the information from a place of confidence, and maybe as well sticking at it and giving things a fair shot. But still, whatever the case may be, of course, this could be a variety of meanings with Mars retrograde in Leo. Just take some time to review your goals, to review your wants, your why. Review your why. And this is a message that I've been kind of repeating with Mercury retrograde in Sagittarius recently. A lot of what Mercury retrograde is about is it's asking us to ask ourselves the why. What is the why behind what we do? What are our intentions? And it's very fascinating to see that Mercury is in Sagittarius for you. So really, this is quite a personal thing. This is about you honestly reviewing your finances, reviewing the business plan, the business strategy, thinking more about the creative side of things, maybe exploring the knowledge that you have, or how you can maybe repackage that knowledge, how you can maybe explore it in this way of, okay, well, how does it look? How does it appear? With Neptune involved, sure, things could feel a bit foggy. And this is perhaps all the more reason to sit with things. See what else comes through. What other sources of inspiration, forms of inspiration comes through. And then, well, I would say with actually relaunching, the thing is I don't really like saying relaunch it then or do it then. I honestly think it always comes down to you as an individual and your own wants and desires. But if I could recommend something, it would be to wait until Mars, wait until Mars is more so when it comes back into Leo and it starts to reapproach Jupiter. So that's going to be, and I'm going to give you dates. Give me a moment. That's going to be, let's see, 2025. Let's see. Yeah, that's going to be around May 2025. So when we look to May of 2025, we see that Mars will be direct and will be drawn closer to Jupiter, and Mercury retrograde will no longer be in this Sagittarius arena. So we could see some movement there for your business, movement when it comes to your finances and your earnings. However, just to also note, and this is interesting, so also note about this, Venus and Mercury will also be direct by that point, because we have a Venus and Mercury retrograde happening around March, April time 2025. So how can you benefit? How can you benefit from these retrogrades, Silvana? You can use the time to revisit your work service goals, to think things through, to think about your strategies and your approaches, and to also then look more so at your hobbies and your interests and your creative pursuits. We could see this as you adding certain touches, for example, to particular products. And we think about with Pisces, there's especially with Venus, Venus there's a beautifying influence. There's an attractive, appealing influence. So you could take that time to just go over the packaging, how things are presented, how they appear. We could also look at this through a lens of symbolism and basically just art, right? It's art, it's beauty, it's creativity. So all of this is to say, use the retrogrades to your benefit, to add finishing touches, to add to what you have already created. And there could be more stuff that comes through. And then we come to around May time, and quite possibly that is when, right, okay, let's launch. Let's relaunch this. Okay, I hope that was helpful, Silvana. I hope that was helpful. Even, whenever you do relaunch, you could look at it as you could pull up another event chart and then see what kind of rising it has and things like that. But I just find it interesting that Mars will be direct, Mercury will no longer be retrograde, and even Venus and Mercury will also be direct in Aries at that point. So, Silvana, thank you so much. I hope you benefited from your reading. Lastly, then we have Jessica. My goodness, there's so much that I could say, but I have to break it down. And if you would like to book a reading with me, which is a longer reading, you can visit my website, hannahselsewhere.com. Thank you. So, Jessica, are you still, hold on, are you still, oh, thank you, Silvana. Awesome. Hey, you know what? All the very best. Very excited. Very exciting thing for you. Amazing. And Jessica, yes, you are with us. Let me see, do you have, oh, it's general. Gotcha. It's a general reading. No problem. Information. Da-da-da-da. Okay, great. And that's transits. Let's move it over to here and then make sure the dates are done correctly. Okay, great. Okay. Awesome. All right. So, Jessica, you're the final reading this evening. Just give me a moment to look over your chart, and then I will go from there and I'll see what comes through. Okay, The first thing that comes to mind here is the fact that Capricorn is on the rising, and Saturn, which is your chart ruler, Saturn is at 0 degrees in Capricorn. So there's something quite potent about what I'm about to say. What we recognize with you, Jessica, is that from a very young age, you have known, hey, you know what? These are the rules and these are the things that you must follow. These are the expectations that are set. These are the standards that you have, perhaps relating this more so to yourself. But you see, with Uranus retrograde, which is just there, it's in, let me actually see here, the actual, yeah, so if this is whole sign, Uranus, yeah, because we are using whole sign, Uranus retrograde there is literally on that cusp. It's in the 12th house, and this is a fascinating thing because actually you're a bit of an inner rebel. You are someone who doesn't tend to follow the rules. I see this as you being quite a rebellious, quite a rebellious child, rebellious in your youth there, and certainly standing up against anything that you didn't agree with. I also see this as you getting into trouble quite a bit for maybe being mischievous or for challenging authority, for challenging the rules. But yet, what we also notice is, and I really want to be sensitive as I say this, we see potential punishment, punishment for going against authority. But at the same time, we also see some kind of perhaps like respect for authority whenever you understand why a certain rule is the way it is. Plus, whenever we recognize Neptune, right? So, Neptune can indicate growing up surrounded by people who maybe needed saving, needed rescuing, they needed help. And I'm also wondering here a bit, is it that you took on a lot of the responsibility, perhaps responsibility that shouldn't have been yours to take on? I'm just trying to reflect or just think about your younger years, your upbringing. What were the messages that you received about responsibility, about discipline, following the rules there? And what I would also argue is, well, you being a rather empathetic individual. I think that whenever you notice that someone is in need, when they're in pain, they need some help, oh my word, I think that you can be very caring, very loving, very supportive, and empathetic. So, this is what we see with this first house area and how such matters. They guide you in many ways. They have been a big part of your life and how you enter into new situations and just the person that you are today. It's almost like these past experiences have brought you to where you are today, and you can maybe whenever you look back in the past, you can see certain things that were unfair or unjust, but you can also see how things have sort of taught you in mature ways. We think about responsibility and the lessons that you've learned there. Now, we also want to draw our focus to the moon, and the moon is in Aries in the 4th. And this is also where we see this independent streak with you. The moon even makes this square to the ascendant. So, yes, you being independent, you being fiery, and refusing to put up with disrespect. If you can sense that, sorry, my computer. So if you can sense that someone is trying to limit you, fence you in, tell you who to be, I think you can have a big reaction to that. I also possibly see you moving out from a pretty young age. I'm just going with my intuition on this. I see you moving out from a very young age, getting your own place, your own house, or just wanting to be away from certain family dynamics, especially if those family dynamics were argumentative, volatile, very aggressive. Also, whenever we think about all of the Gemini focus, right? Your sun is in Gemini, Mercury retrograde is there, Venus retrograde, Chiron is conjunct Venus retrograde and Mercury retrograde. So there's a lot coming through here about your health, especially your mental health, looking after your mental health there. We see here the many skills you have when it comes to your work. You're very multifaceted. I think you can be quite good at doing many things at once, if you will. There could be a lot to be said about the many tasks that you take on. Now, with that being said, we also see possibly you being distracted or overwhelmed by all of the plates to spin. But you still manage, this is what I'm getting, you still manage to keep things quite light, to be friendly, to be social, to be kind to other people. So what we notice is that even though often in life you can feel like you carry the weight of the world on your shoulders, right? Saturn, 0 degrees in Capricorn, all the sixth house stuff. So much to do with productivity and the day to day and all the routines and the workload, all those things. So even though it can feel like there are so many stressors, so much to carry, you still are so kind to people. Like, you still make time for other people. You're willing to chat, you're willing to catch up, to see how other people are doing. And then when we also throw into the mix Mars being in Pisces, whoa, talk about being a spiritual leader, talk about being a bit of a spiritual pioneer, a spiritual warrior. I think that when it comes to how you communicate with others, you speak so empathetically, and I think you come from this place of empathy, especially because you're able to go, do you know what? I've been there. Do you know what? I get that whenever I react this way or whenever I behave this way in response to this person, that these are the feelings associated with it. So I'm going to maybe take a beat there and think things through. Even with Mercury being retrograde, Venus being retrograde, there is this, I would say, this wit, this sharpness to you, the ability to, hold on, what am I saying here? And then to speak maybe with a bit more of this intention, or to maybe know, for example, when to speak and when not to speak. It's like there's that greater analysis, if you will. And then even with Venus being retrograde, I think that when it comes to your relationships and things, you prefer more like deep and meaningful relationships that are based on trust and really building together, if you will. Even though Venus is in Gemini, there's still that versatility, there's still the lightheartedness, flirty, being very curious. But with the retrograde motion, I just think that there's more of this focus on taking your time. We even see this with Jupiter in the fifth, right? Jupiter's in the fifth, it's in Taurus, it's more slow moving when it comes to romance and love there too. So yeah, I hope this has been enough. I'm just looking at the time. Yeah, I hope this has been enough. And even with Chiron, right? Chiron is in the sixth, and that could be possibly speaking to your health, your nervous system, maybe regulating your nerves there a little bit. I would suggest with this one, especially your Chiron opposite Uranus, there could be some unexpected health-related matters that have happened throughout your life, or this sort of back and forth, this inconsistent energy, the unexpected, the unpredictable. So what I'm going to finish off by saying is, with you being so empathetic and kind and making time for other people and conversing in that way, I hope that you can also give that to yourself. Yeah, give that to yourself. Hopefully with the way the secondary progress Mercury and the secondary progress Sun and even Venus now is direct there with the secondary progressions. Hopefully with all of that included, there is more of that in your life. And these are areas, these are things that you've perhaps reflected upon throughout your life. Okay, Jessica, yay. I really hope that you benefited. Yeah, you say you're very selective with close relationships. Very fascinating with that Venus retrograde. Well, thank you so much for booking, and thank you everybody for booking today. This has been the live readings this evening, and as I say, if any of you missed it, I'm going to keep this video up, and we'll see. Let me know if you want me to come back next weekend. And in general, just to thank you. Thank you for being here. And I hope that you find your live reading today to be helpful. Have a lovely rest to your weekend, folks. And I will talk